A little brief overview of semantic versioning, but then you had a point about comments and metadata. It's something you learned recently, right?
Right. Yeah, that was something that I didn't even know about. Well, not that I didn't know what would happen with it. I didn't know what it meant, right? So let's go ahead and do this. Let me uh, modify this a little bit. All right. Semantic version. So many programs people try to keep track of which changes the program has. And each company has its own set of rules for that. So if I open up, let's say, Edge or something, and I go to help, and where is the about? Here, about Microsoft Edge. This is their build number. So this is basically their version number. 140.0, point whatever, and 0.81 at the end, right? Actually, AutoHotkey, by the way, was like that too. It was 1.1.3, 37.7 or something like that. Again, 4 digits. And it is very common to see very old software to have this particular convention of 4 digits that explain what current version it is. Now, on the web, this versioning has changed, has shifted. If you go to GitHub, for example, I would say a very, very large number of tools in there. If you just go ahead and explore, right? If you just go ahead and explore repositories in GitHub, you will find that a lot of them only have 3 digits, like 1.0.0 or, like that. Just 3 sections. And that comes from a new push for semantic versioning. And what they meant by semantic versioning is that each spot has a very specific meaning, and it is kind of like standardized. Beforehand, each program had its own numbering system, and it meant whatever they preferred at that time, right? And but now with semantic versioning, many of the tools, especially tools that are used by other tools, they have 3 spots and they mean something specific. There's major changes, and usually by major, they mean something that breaks compatibility, all right, with a previous version. So if the code that you created, it is still compatible with the previous code that you had, it is not a major change. It simply is not. Major only means breaking changes. If when I make this push, now you have to change something on your end to make it work, that's where a major change is. I'll give you an example of that in a second. The second part would be the minor, which is kind of like secondary thing. And usually what we mean by that is features. That's mainly what minor means in this instance. And the last one is patch. And that you can think about it as fixes. That's the main idea. Major is breaking changes. Minor is anything that is a feature, something new that you're adding into your. So if your software is going to have something new, that's where you put it. And patches, anything that is a fix only, then goes into the patch numbering. How you move those numbers is up to you. But if you keep in mind that that's like what the numbers mean, then things are going to start making sense. Like, for example, AutoHotkey itself. AutoHotkey, when we go to the versionings that we have, now the versioning is 2.0.19. Remember, the 1.1 was 1.1.37.7, something like that. Now it is just 3 digits. And now it is following what I just said. So I know that the number 2 was because he made a big change that broke compatibility with V1. That's what happened. And this 19, it means that there are 19 fixes that have been made. That's what it means. Right now, the alpha version is 2.1, and that is because new features are coming in that version. You see, so I don't have to even know what's going on. I just look at the numbers and I know what happened. As soon as he says 2.1, oh, new features are available. That's what it means. Oh, 2.019, well, that means 19 fixes happened. I don't have to look at the log to see what changed. The numbers already tells me what changes. So that's the gist of semantic versioning. And we have yeah, go ahead.
I just want to interrupt you there for a second, because the big aha I had when you taught me this a couple of years ago now, I think, was it's not just AutoHotkey, right? And if you're trying to get a version of some other program, and you're trying to figure out, well, there's all these different versions, which one should I even test? You probably don't want to be testing the 19 and 18 and 17 and 16, because that's probably not going to fix your problem, right? Like,
right.
You want make a major change, not necessarily the 2, 1, and 2, but that middle one, like that one might really help you find a working version for you if you're having problems.
Exactly. That is correct. So what happened was then in the end, all of these guys, so look at this. This is the versioning system, 4.13.0. That tells me they have made 4 major changes, and they have added, on this latest version, they have added 13 new features. That's what it means. I don't even have to see the code. I don't know who they are. The number system here already gives me information. That's what it is. So why does it matter? Well, in AutoHotkey V2 and in many other languages, we have functions to compare versions to one another. So here I could really tell what is the relationship between these two things. And usually in AutoHotkey V2, we're comparing the left side in comparison to the right side. So I'm saying, what is the status of this number in comparison to that one? And what it's going to say is going to return a -1, because it's going to tell me this number is behind this one. It's going to be smaller than the one on the right side. And you will see that's what happens. Now, I just gave you kind of like the big overview of semantic versioning. Semantic versioning has a very interesting part to it, 2 corollaries. One of them is, hey, what if I haven't released the thing, I'm working with it, right? For example, the alpha version, he's working on it. How do I tell, hey, I'm working on version 2.1, but I haven't finished working? Well, you use a dash, and now from there, you can add additional information. It could be numbers, it could be anything you want. Very often what you will see is that people use the word alpha, or for example, beta, all right? And you can continue with the other ones as well, if you want it. But people just go with alpha and beta, right? You could do any others. Now, this automatically keeps tracks because the number, the letter A, when you convert it to a number, is smaller than the letter B when you convert it to a number. So if I compare those two, it will tell me that alpha here is going to be smaller than the beta version. It will do the same as before. It will give me a -1. All right, so that's what I'm expecting now. Joe, I don't know if you guys put in Toolkit, if you select several lines and hit a hotkey to comment them. That's one of the biggest things that I'm missing. Like, I need to comment stuff out, like select multiple lines and comment them. That's a
we also want to have block
right.
commenting, but yeah.
Right. So right here, well, let me just grab this one, alpha. So this one should be a -1 again. So when I do that, I still get -1. And if I did it the other way around, beta in relationship to alpha, it would be that a +1, because beta is higher than alpha. That's it. So that's what so it's doing what it's supposed to. Good. So here's the other part. If you want to add additional metadata, you can add periods, dashes, and also the plus sign. So let's say alpha 1, which is what Lexicos does. He put like beta 0.18. So while I'm working, there have been 18 iterations of what I'm testing, for example. That's what it means. But you can add more metadata with the plus sign. But that one is interesting what happens with it. So many times, and this is something that I did on part of my software, I'm working with alpha 1. I already did the same thing with alpha 1, but I just compiled it 2 times. So I'm compiling this software twice, one for one person, one for another. The software itself hasn't changed, still alpha 1, but I changed, for example, the licensing, how many days this person can run it versus how many days the other person can run it. The software is the same. It's just that one guy is going to run it for 5 days and the other guy is going to run it for 10 days. So I want to signify I'm still in alpha 1, but this guy, I compiled it at on the 09/26 at 11 a.m. And the other guy, I actually compiled it later at 2 p.m., 2:01, no, sorry, this is the date. So that would be 09/26, the same day, but at 2 p.m., right? So as you notice, the idea here is that this version, it's supposedly higher than this one because this one is 11 and this one is 14. All right. Let me show you what happens when you compare the two. So I'm going to compare these two guys. And interestingly, you get a 0, which means they're both the same version. That's what it means. And the idea there is, okay, what happened? Well, this plus sign is special when you're dealing with semantic versioning, and it is used, again, for, as I mentioned, metadata. And again, it's true. Alpha 1 is exactly the same software. They're doing the same thing. Something it's just slightly different, but it doesn't change how the software behaves. So for the version comparison here, that data is irrelevant. So you could put whatever you want here. You can put a name, for whom. So I compiled this one for her and this one for him. Still, same software. It will not matter. So be careful if you're using semantic versioning. Basically, of course, you can use the 3 digits, which is the most common. If you want to add metadata or about, unfinished work, you can use the dash for that. But just remember, if you use the plus sign, doesn't matter where you use it, anything after the plus sign is going to be removed and it doesn't count. It doesn't count for comparison's sake. It counts for whatever you want. For example, in my case, we just go ahead and look at the file, the compiled file. And when I look at the versioning, oh, this is the one that I compiled at that time. So it doesn't have this one thing. That's it. It's just like metadata on the files. But just keep in mind, if you use the plus sign, that's what's going on in there. And I think there is software out there that does that. I've seen Zoom doing that, actually. So if I go to Zoom and there is this way of getting the beta versions, like you can get it to give you the beta versions. When you look at the beta versions, you will have different types of versioning numbers, and one of them usually sometimes use some metadata in it. That's what it means. It's just numbers that mean something to the developer, but they're not used for comparison at all. So be careful with that. I was having a little bit of a bug because of that, because I was just updating just the metadata. And my tool was looking at the thing and it was like, oh yeah, it's the same version, still the same version. Yeah, it's the same version still. And I was like, oh, how can that be? And I didn't know that about the semantic version,